Welcome to another battle report, folks. This is another one in our Kursk series, and it's the last one where the Germans have the initiative. It's going to be Prohkarovka. This is our only game we're playing from the south salient, but we could play more games, but you just see very similar kind of lists, perhaps different missions, but similar kind of lists to what you've seen in the earlier battles. So we decided just to go straight to the climactic clash in the south. The game we're playing is a bespoke mission. The idea in this mission is each side has to capture an objective. We've got the axis of attack straight up and down the middle. We've got two deployment zones, each one 24 inches deep, so they're quite far up the table, and then spaced in the middle 18 inches in from the table edge, or 8 inches back. Where am I? There we go, 8 inches back from the front of the deployment zone. There's one objective, and both sides need to capture their opponent's objective. If nobody's captured an objective by the end of turn 9, then it's a draw. Now, to represent the kind of sort of pell-mell nature of this battle, what's going to happen is there's going to be, for each side is going to be one force on the table, 100 points more or less, and one in reserve. And the ones that's on the table can deploy anywhere in the deployment zones. The anti-tank gun platoon in each force will be in ambush, and then the platoon that, or the force that arrives from reserve, as soon as, you'll be rolling for reserves straight away, and as soon as your reserves arrive, you roll a dice, and a 1, 2 or 3, they'll arrive at this point here, basically on the left, and 4, 5, 6 on the right. Now they'll measure from this point, and that's where they will enter. They won't line everything up and then enter, they'll measure from that point, and they can move, can't come back along this edge, it's got to be from this point. And the idea is these are reserves flooding into the battle, not entirely sure what direction they're going to be coming in because they're just trying to get there, but when they arrive, because they're not squaring straight up to the enemy, as in a straight on push, there's a chance that we can get some really sort of messed up cauldron type battles. So, the forces. Now, we've decided to kind of match each other in certain ways for what's on the table to begin with, and have no infantry in the reserve forces. So, on table, each side has got 2 platoons of infantry, company command, platoon of mortars, and that tank gun platoon, and then the rest of the points spent on tanks. So you can see these are Hero Soviet mortar rifles and ordinary 76mm anti-tank guns, and then 6 Lees and 6 T-34. So these are the kind that are hit on 2s, skill checking on 5. Not very good quality. And then the Germans on table have got 2 platoons of grenadiers, not Panzer grenadiers, just grenadiers, 6 mortars, company command, 388s. We've not used these yet in the Kursk campaign, and then a platoon of 3 Panzer IVs and 2 Panzer IIIs. Doesn't quite suit the list building points, I don't think, but it's only way of getting a strong anti-tank into one of these platoons, and they could only really afford one platoon of tanks. Very, very different from the Soviets, as you can see, but they've got 3 anti-tank 11 guns, hit on 4s, not hit on 2s, but we've still got reservations about how they can handle so many Soviet tanks. And then coming in from reserve, the Soviets have got heavy tanks with a few light tanks just to try and balance out the difference in points with the Germans. They've got 2 platoons of 4 Churchills, platoon of 4 KVs, not the S's, but the heavy ones. They're going to need that front armour. And company command of the Churchill, then 40 70s, and that's the German reserves, 4 Tigers. There is a platoon of 2, a company command, and a platoon of 1. You know, so it's they've got a lot to do. They won't take a hell of a lot of casualties, but they're going to have a hell of a lot to do. Because remember, guys, this is not just about sitting and shooting up each other's tanks. You have to take that objective. And you'll note, like, there's buildings all around these objectives, so tanks cannot assault into buildings, so it's going to be a tricky game. We're going to have to try and keep the infantry safe to a degree so that they can get stuck into and maybe clear out the buildings in an assault. Right, but there you go. We'll get set up and come back and show you once deployment is complete, and it'll be a dice roll to see who goes first. Because this is if you're familiar with Prohkarovka, it was kind of a clash of two, an attack and a counter attack. So one side has not got a set piece attack, if you understand. So we have deployed. I'll start with Brian's Germans. So the objective is buried under some infantry. We've got an infantry platoon, mortars plus company command at the front, then some infantry in those houses and a little to the front as well. So they're all contesting. Tanks on the road, so we can make some quick progress potentially. And then 88's in ambush. And I've got my 76 mils in ambush, and I've put my Lees over here. I like the hill. There's a good position to move up and cover. I put my T-34s over there. They've got more open ground to cover, but they go faster. And thinking to myself, you know, it's got one anti-tank platoon. Maybe I'll split my tanks up, and I can make an advance on one side if the other side is knocked out by the 88s. Don't know, I'm not concentrating my forces, but there's a lot of stuff still to come on the table. And then my infantry, got one platoon in here. The guys sit against the houses, by the way, are in the houses. They're just solid resin pieces, or don't have a lot of space inside them when the roof comes off. So one platoon there with the company command being here. Then the mortars, they've got to be quite far up in this game, by the way, to reach the enemy positions. And then I've got a platoon at the back here. They're in position to counter-attack if it goes horribly wrong, or move off to either flank, depending on where reserves might come in from. Though what they're going to do to Tigers, I don't know. Just maybe annoy them, make them run away for a turn before they come back again. So we're going to roll off. I'm going to do this on camera. Highest dice gets first turn. Germans. Okay, so Brian's got first turn. We'll come back after we've done that. German turn 1. So they got reserve straight away, rolled a 6, and then rolled a 1, which means they're coming on from 24 inches, which is roughly about there. That's where all the Tigers have to enter the table. These guys have moved up, not want to mess about. He's probably got a concealed shot, maybe with one of them anyway. The mortars failed to range in. I thought he had to jump on me there, but we'll see. I'll need a 6 to range in back. But these guys dashed up to here. The intention was for Brian just to put a blocking force in there. It's turned out quite handy for him, because now he's got a force on that flank and the rest of his tanks on this flank. So I shall come back after the Soviets' first turn. Soviet turn 2. So first of all, for movement, well, they've got reserves first of all, sorry, and they're coming on over here. So they guys just moved up, a normal move, fired, and that's what they got to hit, never mind anything else. But I'll take a miracle and they could really just bail them, but that might be a bit more dangerous for the Tigers. We're still mindful of the 88s, and I think they're probably going to deploy over here, as this is where most of the tanks are going to be. But they dashed to get to that position. The mortars actually managed to range in on the second dice. It didn't hit any of the German mortars this turn, hit a couple of bases infantry, but they saved. And then the the Lees moved up in a hull down position, though technically speaking, well, in reality that's quite difficult to get a Lee hull down because of where the gun is, but there you go, it's just the game. And they got a few hits and managed to destroy one of the Panzer IIIs. It would have been a Panzer IV, but mistaken target pushed the hit back onto the Panzer III's front wheels. Basically, the only thing that could have killed it is a roll of a 1, and it rolled a 1. And these guys passed a save. Otherwise, Soviets are staying still, so over to German 2 and we'll see what happens in terms of ambushes, reserves, etc. German turn 2. So they got another reserve on. Now, 9 turns is what we decided on for this. It might not even last 3 turns the way things are going. So as far as shooting's concerned, the Tigers killed 2 Churchills, bailed 1. The 88s bailed 3, killed 1, the terrible firepowers. The reserve Tiger killed 1. The infantry unpinned. So let's just take that away. The company commander ensured that. The mortars finally ranged in, but didn't hit anything. They hit 1 infantry base, that was it. Ranged in over there to try and get those mortars. And then the Panzer IVs, really Panzer III didn't help much, but the Panzer IVs, oh dear me, it was 6 tanks. They managed to kill 3 and bail 2. 6 dice, killed 3, bailed 2. So that's why you get so many Soviet tanks in mid-war, folks. Right, have to see what happens if my guys can get back in, and if I can do anything to the Tigers, which is probably no, but we'll see. Soviet turn 2, they got another platoon of reserves on, and it was KVs, and you can probably tell by the absence of any heavy tanks around here that they've all legged over here. They were terrain dashing, follow me, or kind of cross checks, and they managed to get into that wood, though that guy's still quite exposed because he failed a cross check. The T-34s couldn't really go, they couldn't dash away because they were too close to that Tiger. They were within 8 inches. They stayed put, fired at the 88s, got 2 hits, but the 88s made 2 saves, and then they managed to shoot and scoot on a 5 up into here. The mortars stayed ranged in over here, but unfortunately didn't hit any of Brian's mortars, so they're not getting pinned, but hit the infantry and killed 1, so killed something. These guys fired, only managed to get 1 hit, and it was saved, but they shooted and scooted too. So the Germans will get the last of the reserves on next turn, and I've had to back off. I'll lose my T-34s next turn, no doubt. I've got to go on the defensive for a bit, but there's 9 turns, so there's still time for me to try and turn it around. German turn 3. So the last of the reserves arrived, a single tank Tiger platoon. He stayed still, he obviously moved up. These guys moved up. He had line of sight on a concealed KV but missed. So just to get the turret facing the right direction, I just shot back and missed. He had 1 shot and missed. He had 2 shots, missed 1, got 1, killed 1, and then these guys finished off the surviving T-34s. Over here, Brian decided to stay put and be cautious. We actually forgot, we killed 1 mortar last turn, forgot about the rerolls because I had 6 mortars in my platoon. Or rather, I used to, because he killed 1 this turn. Didn't manage to do anything to the infantry, but killed the mortar, so they've no longer got the reroll. So, in my next turn, I will have 3 dice for reserves, and I have got 3 platoons still to arrive. Imagine what the poor T-70s will think when you arrive beside those Tigers. But over to Soviet turn 3. Soviet turn 3, I got another reserve one, just to 1 unfortunately, which was another Churchill platoon. That means my company commander has got to come on right beside those Tigers and probably won't get out of line of sight when he does arrive. The Lees dash round here. The infantry dashed and followed me with the company command joining them. There is there. The tanks did the same. They dashed and followed me. And one of the Churchills didn't cross check. That's from the platoon that's already taking casualties. The other ones did. So I'm pulling myself around to try and, I don't know, to try and do something. If my reserves had arrived over here, it would have been a bit more of a interesting game perhaps. But at the moment I've just got to pull back and let Brian come at me. So as far as firing goes, loads and loads of hits here, but Brian made every single save, even with rerolls. But the mortars are pinned, we'll see if they unpin. Over to Germans. Everything is on the table for them now for their turn 4. German turn 4, and Brian's on the move. Everybody is picked up, apart from the 88s, and moved forward. Everything unpinned that was hit by the mortars, and these infantry have moved up with a follow me company command over with this platoon. The medium hammer has moved up too. They dashed around behind that hedge. So many times where I've seen tanks just get stuck on hedges and not move for the rest of the game. And the Tigers have moved up. These two here got line of sight but no hits on the Churchills, but I can't keep running forever. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. The 88s didn't have any targets other than infantry at long range. Needed 6 because they were going to ground and never got any hits. Oh, forgot about the mortars, too much concentrating on movement, so we'll just roll that and come back to it next turn. So, Soviet turn 4, got my last reserves on. What happened there was the company commander came on, moved, couldn't do a dash, but then he did a follow me, managed to cross check and at least got into cover. Then I moved these guys around so that at least they were within 6 inches of him, so if he gets killed I have a chance of transferring to another tank. These just came on and normal move back with a follow me for a little bit more. These infantry have moved into the wood to try and give the Tigers something to think about. Everything else moved around. They moved up behind the houses, and then only shooting was the mortars, but they managed to kill another German mortar, so that's whittling them down, which means I stand a chance of being able to move my mortars onto Brian's infantry. But over to German turn 5. I don't see how I can now take this objective, but maybe Brian can still take mine. So German turn 5. Infantry kept moving up. These guys did a wee dash and a follow me. They just moved, fired, didn't do anything. Medium panzers have moved behind the hill. Tigers moved up, one of them to get a shot on company command. One just to try and keep up, the other two fired and missed. They tried a blitz, failed. They wanted to get lots of shots on the company command. So they they kept moving forward and managed to miss 2 dice and missed. But these managed to get a shot up through here, got a hit. It managed to get to match the anti-tank, but they failed the firepower. The mortars didn't unpin, and actually the mortars are on the last stand because the way the casualties have fallen, there's only one, there's no bases in command anymore. Right, over to me for my turn. I've managed to do some readjusting and I've really got to go for it now to try and fend them off, but try and get that objective myself. Soviet turn 5 and I'm continuing to move the T-70s around there. They could be useful against infantry if I manage to keep them alive. Company commander failed his cross check. The platoon here have stayed within command distance, moved up to help these infantry, and these infantry shoot at them and tons and tons of hits, and they lost a couple of bases. Company command got 2 hits on him, but best he could get was a bale and got nothing. The mortars tried to range in here now and missed, and then over there you can see I'm massing for a flank attack. The battle's pivoting a little bit now, so the Germans definitely have a territorial advantage, but I don't know if it's enough to get the victory. So let's see what Brian can do in turn 6. German turn 6. So there was some progress there for the Germans. These guys unpinned, get moving up. The Tigers, one stayed still to shoot the company commander, the other one was moved up. And then as far as shooting goes, these two got a couple of Churchills. He got the company commander. These actually were in range of the Churchills. It only got one hit though and it managed to save. The mortars are sticking around, they've unpinned, they're rearranged in, but just move this, arranged in over here. But they never rolled above a 2 for any of their hit rolls, and they were on reroll hits as well, so it wasn't very good. These guys blitzed out at the top of the hill and absolutely smashed those poor Lees to bits, but then failed to come back down off the hill with the shooting scoot, so that might work in my favour, who knows. So I'm running out of tanks over there. The company command, by the way, jumped into one of these two, which means this platoon has only got one tank left in it. Not many guys left alive over there, but Bride's going to have to close in because he's running out of time. So am I. Soviet turn 6 could have gone better. These guys kept moving up. I tried to blitz them to get them into firing position with their attack 10, it'd be very useful against the Panzer IVs in the field. These guys just moved up. There was a couple of hits up here, but for attack 9, attack 10 even, they managed to save both of them quite easily. The Churchill platoon of 1 stayed on the table, moved around here with the company command, T-70s with them. These guys didn't unpin. These guys stayed put apart from the company command who's come over to try and give them a bit of a morale boost. Here a couple of guys got hit and failed their saves. Brian didn't launch the assault last turn that he wanted to do because of the presence of the Churchill, so he's got less guys, but he can still do that this turn. I was hoping to do a wee bit of damage there. Oh, I was thinking ambush, put my ambush here to help them, but because of the height they've got, there was a tiny wee bit of terrain that I could use for concealment, and it was full of tanks, so I'd have to put them up at long range, and it's hardly worthwhile. I might as well keep them for a last gasp defensive effort. So German turn 7. German turn 7. So what happened here? First of all, these infantry that were in the field moved up. These guys prepared themselves for an assault. Tigers moved around so they could shoot T-70s and Churchills. And the guys stayed on the hill to try and finish off the Churchills that were coming up. So what happened, the mortars stayed around, have not run away yet, but the bombardment managed to kill one base, and then this guy here managed to kill a T-70, and these guys all missed. He tried to do an assault on these infantry to push them back to reduce counter-fire over here, but he never actually made it any contact. So Brian actually started the assault from over here. There wasn't a lot of counter-fire. He took 3 hits on the way in though, made all the saves, killed 1 base. He only put 3 bases in, that's all he could get. And then I failed to motivate, so I had to break off. So he made a dent into my defences, but I've still got a hell of a lot of armoured machine gun fire and such likes in there. And then these guys on the hill can't seem to find the reverse gear because they failed their shoot and scoot again. So, my turn 7, I'll have to figure out what the hell to do. Well, see what happens. German turn 8. So the mortars finally ran away. The Tigers decided it was time to close in for an assault. These infantry moved back in, hoping to get that bailed out T-70. In the end, they got 2 bailed out T-70s because the best that this Tiger and the 388 could do was to get a double bail, a bail and a kill. So there was 2 of them eligible, and they got them. They got them. Over here, the tanks, they just stayed still. Actually, let's see if they've got a reverse gear. I've forgotten to roll like 6, so they'll come down off the hills to force the Germans to move, at least to get the Soviets to move to get the side armour. Then the assaults, the Tigers went in, killed 3 bases. There was 1 positive motivation by the Soviets, then they broke off. And these guys tried to get in again, but there was too many some machine gun shots coming from the healthy company HQ. I think they've got some machine guns. I'll double check it anyway. But anyway, there was enough hits coming from all those different quarters to kill a couple and stop the assault. But they were within 4 of this objective, so they got a chance to win it next turn. Soviet turn 8, well, so close to actually doing something. First of all, the ambush finally popped over there and managed to bail a Tiger, and I thought, oh, assault time, here we go. I got 1 assault in, but I'd never stayed in the fight and broke off. And I tried to get another assault in, but there was just too much counter fire because there was a company command Tiger, there was infantry over here. So, a good opportunity that failed. Over here, the Churchills will manage to kill a couple of German bases, pretty much destroyed that platoon that ended up breaking off. And then, God dear, comedy Soviet tanks. They just won't die, these medium tanks. 3 of them got hit in the side armour and failed to save, and there you go, 3 failed firepowers. So it's up to Brian to see if he can win the game next turn. It's an opportunity to do it. But maybe not a strong opportunity, but let's see what happens. German turn 9, their last chance to win the game. So what happened there? The Build-It Tiger didn't get back in. The infantry though, the 2 platoons that were down to just 2 bases, they broke, so that was the end of the infantry company. I mean, they only had 6 bases left on the table anyway, so they've legged it. That left it up to the Tiger. There was only 1 Tiger that could make an assault. The other Tiger, the company command moved in to support it for motivation. They were worried about counter-fire from these guys. So first of all, the 88s had to go at them. It got them and missed. The 88s were out of range. This Tiger had to go and missed. But then he managed to get 2 hits, but I rolled 2 6s, which was enough to get bails, but he got 2 bails, so there was no counter fire there. And then he went in for the assault. It went back and forward, back and forward. 4 turns in total, 3 Soviet bases dead before the Tiger broke off, which meant that one was captured. So he's not managed to take an objective. Then again, neither have I, but I'm going to play my last turn just to see if I can kill these bloody medium tanks over there, or at least one of them. And then we'll go over to recap after that. But over to the last turn first. So the Soviets' last turn, finally managed to kill a couple of them guys. And then over here, Churchill's got back in. The sole surviving Churchills never ran away. I prepared myself for an assault just in case I got bails over here, but no, nothing was happening. They got quite a few hits, but they made the saves quite easy. So there you go, I managed to hold on to that objective. Didn't put this one under any pressure at all really, but we'll go over to the recap and discuss it all there. But quite a good game. Hope you enjoyed it. And a different kind of mission, and maybe would have turned out different if the reserves had come on differently, but we'll talk about it in the recap. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that game, folks. Me and Brian certainly did. It was very tense in many different ways. The game was really defined by where and when the reserves came on. You know, the random nature of where they're going to come on will always potentially put one side at a disadvantage, and that happened with the Soviets. with all those tigers backed up by the 88s just sitting waiting there. But it just helped set the tone of the game, to be honest. And it went right down to the wire. You seen me basically running away and trying to put pressure on the objective on the other side, but that medium panzer platoon just wouldn't die. It just would not stop, and that prevented me from getting to the objective. And Brian just about got there with the Tiger tanks. It was really just a question of me putting bodies in front of them. But good game, really enjoyed it. A draw was maybe a fair result and reflected what happened in the historical historical battle. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and that's the last of the German offensive games. And we're going to do 2 Soviet offensive games, just so we can see what it's like with the Soviets attacking with the Red Banner lists against the Ghost Panzers lists. So thanks for watching, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, please like and subscribe. It helps us build the channel, and we'll see you in the next game. And the dedicated gaming area is coming along. You'll see more of that in the next campaign we do.